before they were legal. The black boys America sent to war. Imagine this scenario. You're 14 years old. Your classmates are still worried about homework and playground fights. But you're standing in a Marine barracks wearing boots 2 sizes too big, your voice cracking as you're told to shout, "Yes, sir!" louder. You've lied about your age. Nobody questioned you, not because they believed you, but because you're black, poor, and they needed another warm body. You're not given respect, just a rifle. You're not given honor, just orders. By the time anyone discovers your real age, it's too late. You're already buried in a government grave, and no one tells your story. Why did underage black boys enlist? Throughout U.S. history, black boys under the age of 18 enlisted in the military, some with forged documents, others with no documentation at all. Their reasons were layered: desperation, patriotism, family duty, and a belief that military service might secure dignity, rights, or upward mobility. During the Civil War, more than 10,000 Union soldiers were under 18. Even Frederick Douglass encouraged young black men to join, declaring, "With the United States cap on your head, the United States eagle on your belt, the United States musket on your shoulder, not all the powers of darkness can prevent you from becoming American citizens." This belief that by serving in uniform, black boys could force the country to recognize their citizenship continued through World War I, World War II, and the conflicts that followed. For many, the military represented a twisted version of the American dream, one that demanded sacrifice before it ever promised equality. U.S. Army, World War II, Mayfield. Webb was one of the youngest African-American soldiers to enlist during World War II. Following in the footsteps of his older siblings, including his brother Lewis and sister Zelda, Mayfield falsified his age to join the U.S. Army. He managed to serve for a full year before his real age was discovered, and he was honorably discharged. Although his time in uniform was short, Mayfield's actions were not unique. His story speaks to a larger truth, that black youth were so eager to serve their country, despite the discrimination they faced, that they were willing to defy the rules just to get a chance. Private Rosamond Johnson Jr. Korean War 1950, born in Pensacola, Florida, Rosamond Johnson Jr. enlisted in the U.S. Army at age 15, hoping to help his struggling family. He joined the all-black 24th Infantry Regiment and was quickly sent into combat when war broke out in Korea in 1950. By July, Johnson was in battle. On July 26th, he saved 2 wounded soldiers under fire. On his 3rd rescue attempt, he was fatally shot. He was 17 years old. Johnson became the first soldier from his county to die in the Korean War. His heroism was later commemorated through a beach, Rosamond Johnson Beach, named in his honor in segregated Florida. Today, that beach remains a part of Gulf Island's national seashore, and every May his life is remembered during a special commemoration. Johnson died before his hometown allowed him to swim where white children could, but his name lives on at a beach he would have once been barred from entering. Private Lewis E. Webb, World War II, 1944. Through 1945. In 1944, 14-year-old Lewis E. Webb from Baltimore falsified his age and joined the U.S. Marine Corps. He trained at the segregated Montford Point and went on to serve in the 52nd Defense Battalion and the 2nd Ammunition Company in the Pacific Theater. He fought in major campaigns, including Kwajalein and Eniwetok, and reportedly earned a Bronze Star for killing 2 enemy snipers. After nearly a year in combat, the truth came out. He was still a child. Webb was honorably discharged in 1945, having survived some of the fiercest fighting of the war. He returned home and re-enrolled in high school, a sophomore with a combat resume. His legacy lived on not only through his bravery, but also through his family. 4 of his siblings also served in the war. His older brother, Rohelia Bob Webb, was a Tuskegee Airman. His sister Zelda Webb became a lieutenant in the Women's Army Corps. The Webb family wasn't just patriotic, they were historic. And Lewis, the youngest of them, was the most extraordinary of all. Private Dan Bullock, Vietnam, War 1969. Born in 1953, Dan Bullock was just 14 years old when he forged his birth certificate to enlist in the Marine Corps. His motivation? To escape poverty and find a path to education. Bullock completed basic training at Paris Island and was deployed to Vietnam in May 1969. Less than a month later, at age 15, he was killed in action during a night assault on an Hoa combat base, becoming the youngest U.S. serviceman to die in the Vietnam War. His grave initially went unmarked. For decades, his story was largely ignored, but eventually, his sacrifice was recognized. A street in Brooklyn was renamed in his honor. A historical marker now stands near his hometown of Goldsboro, North Carolina. His name appears on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in D.C., a monument that confirms his presence, even when history tried to forget him. Black drummer boys and soldiers in the Civil War. The tradition of underage black service began long before World War II or Vietnam. During the Civil War, young African-American boys joined the Union cause in a range of roles, as drummer boys, stretcher bearers, musicians, laborers, and even combatants in the United States Colored Troops, USCT. Photographs preserved in the Library of Congress show unnamed black boys in full Union uniforms, standing with rifles or seated beside officers. Some appear as young as 12 or 13. While white underage soldiers like John Clem, the drummer boy of Chickamauga, were turned into patriotic legends, their black counterparts were barely recorded. Their names were not preserved, their ages were not documented. But their faces, frozen in time, remain powerful evidence. Black children went to war too. And their service, like so much of black history, was quietly swept aside. The pattern didn't end. It just changed uniforms. Today, enlistment laws require parental consent for minors, but recruitment efforts continue to concentrate in majority black neighborhoods and underfunded schools. Young black students are often approached by recruiters before they're old enough to fully understand the risks of military life. Glossy brochures and promises of college, travel, or purpose are offered in place of transparency. For too many black teenagers, the military is not just an option, it's the only path consistently presented. They aren't told they're too young. They're told they're ready. And just like generations before them, they're expected to serve before they're fully seen. The legacy of underage black servicemen, from the drummer boys of the Civil War to Dan Bullock in Vietnam, underage African-American boys have fought in some of this country's most defining wars. They lied about their age, risked everything, and served with distinction long before the nation was willing to recognize them. They were too young to vote, too young to drive, and yet somehow old enough to die. Their sacrifices are not mistakes. They are testimonies to the lengths black Americans have gone to prove themselves to a country that too often denied their humanity. These boys weren't just brave, they were forgotten pioneers. Legal disclaimer. This Scope News report is presented for educational, informational, and historical storytelling purposes. All efforts have been made to ensure factual accuracy using military records, government archives, oral histories, and contemporary journalism. Viewer discretion is advised due to sensitive content involving underage military service, racial injustice, and death. Scope News does not endorse underage enlistment and strives to present this history with respect, truth, and context. Scope News sources. Scope News tells the truth. Here are the facts. This report is based on verified public records and historical testimony from the Veterans History Project, U.S. Marine Corps Archives, Montford Point Marine Association, National Park Service, Library of Congress Photo Archives, and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Special acknowledgement to family histories and military documentation confirming the service of Dan Bullock, Lewis and Mayfield Webb, Rosamond Johnson Jr., and the countless unnamed black boys of the U.S. Colored Troops. These weren't accidents, they were soldiers, and they will not be forgotten.